traders take months, even years to build the right foundation. But if you focus for just the next 3 days, you can build a better one than most traders ever do. In this video, I'm gonna lay out exactly what you should do each day, from setting up your platform to building a trading plan and actually executing your first trade. So then you can avoid the key mistakes that cost me years and thousands of dollars. And at the end, I'll show you the exact strategy that I use every single morning that generated over $5,000 in the last 30 days, even though I lost half the trades I took. It took me over 5 years to figure this strategy out, and this is what I wish I knew when I first started trading. Okay, so day one, actually today, do this today, is start looking at a ton of videos about chart analysis and reading candlesticks. You want to really start to understand, with the goal of mastering, how to just read what a chart of any market is telling you. You do not want to be looking for an indicator combo that is going to tell you where to buy and where to sell, because those just don't exist. If that was actually a thing, everyone would make money easily trading. At the end of the day, trading's hard, and what those indicators do is they can help you make an educated decision. But at the end of the day, everyone who is using them profitably understands the raw data of what just reading candlesticks and chart patterns tells you. And then as you're doing that, set up a trading platform so you can look at charts as you're watching these videos. I recommend using NinjaTrader for your trading platform. It's what I've used for the past 5 years. It's extremely fast for its trade entries and its ability for customization. I'll leave a link for that in the description below this video, or you can check it out via this QR code. Now later we'll go into a couple more important tools that you're gonna wanna access when you're actually executing trades and looking at scaling your account. But before we get into that, let's jump into day two. Day two is going to be massive in terms of the amount of legwork you're gonna do building this foundation. First off, continue watching videos, but now start watching videos on actual strategies and narrowing your focus down to a strategy you like. Something that could get you stuck losing at trading for the next 5 years like I did is if, one, you jump into a trade alert service right away. A lot of people think these are gonna make them money, make it a lot easier to learn to trade, but a lot of time it's actually almost impossible to make money consistently following those, and you're not learning how to trade yourself. Hold off on joining something like that for a while. And probably the biggest trap traders fall into, and the one that really stuck me losing money for 5 years, is jumping from strategy to strategy. There are infinite ways to trade the market because there's infinite time frames, there's infinite patterns, there's just infinite rules that you can follow, because trading just has so many options and you can do whatever you want. You can always enter or exit in whenever you want. And so out there on the internet, there's so many different strategies that you can do. But what you can get stuck in is this kind of dopamine trap of, when you learn a new strategy, you're excited about, this is gonna be the strategy that I can make money with. You try it, it doesn't really work right away for a couple reasons, and then you jump to the next strategy and you get another dopamine hit of excitement that you're gonna try the strategy out, and this is the cycle that repeats over and over. We'll talk about a couple reasons in a minute of how to make sure you can get out of that learning loop and find an actual strategy that works for you. Now, once you have found that strategy and a rough idea of how you wanna trade, create an actual plan that you're gonna follow. Trading is massive when it comes to following a plan. If you don't follow something that you're trying to consistently do, it's impossible to know if it's repeatable. If you're trying to just throw paint at the wall and see what sticks in terms of what makes money and what doesn't, it's gonna be impossible to know how to repeat it consistently over time. And so there's 4 key things to think about when you're making a plan. Number 1 is, what is your actual setup? Are you looking for reversals, continuation trades, when 2 indicators align and this certain pattern shows up? And then second is, why are you entering? For me, I have a pretty standard 3 to 5 step checklist that I follow every single trade. I look for reversals. I want to see a key support or resistance level. I want to see a trend break into that level that shows me that the trend could actually slow down and reverse. And then after that, I want to see a clean double bottom or reversal candlestick pattern. And then generally a really strong candlestick that shows there's good momentum in the direction that I want. And following that every time allows me to know that this is something that I can consistently repeat because I'm following the same structure every time. And then the third thing is, how do you actually enter? Are you entering in with a stop loss, a limit order? What kind of order are you using essentially? Are you entering in on a 1 minute chart, a 5 minute chart, an hour chart? And then once you actually enter, how do you actually manage your trade? You want to figure out what that is before you jump into the trade, because once you're in the trade, all bets are off. You are going to get emotional, and if you don't have a plan to follow, you're not going to make a good decision. You want to think about, where is my stop loss going to go when I enter the trade? Where is my profit target going to be? Am I going to kind of fluidly manage it, or I'm going to have a fixed profit target where I'm just going for a set spot that the market I think is going to hit, and then I get out and I move on with my day? As you're first starting out, I highly recommend keeping it super simple, like a 1 to 2 risk reward ratio, where let's say for an example, you risk $100 every trade, and then your profit target is set to be 2 times that. So you'd be going for $200. This will allow you to really focus on your entries. Don't get bogged down in trying a fancy management style where you are scaling in, scaling out, having, trailing stop losses. That's really complicated. And 90% of what trading is having the correct entry. If you enter in the right spot, you're gonna make money no matter how you manage it. Sure, managing is gonna allow you to make, maybe 5 or 10% more from your best trades. But at that point, you're just trying to min-max, and that's not what you wanna be focused on when you start out. Save that for down the road. Now, the last thing for day 2 is figure out your actual daily trading routine. Based on your life and your schedule, what makes sense for when you are gonna trade throughout your day? Are you gonna just check in throughout the day? Are you gonna trade just 60 minutes in the morning and then be done with the day? The key of why this is important is it'll allow you to structure things to where you go in, focus on trading, and then once that time is up, you're done. You don't want to just perpetually have a random plan of just trying to show up and trade for as long as you want, because trading is all about making the correct decision. And if you trade too long, or you're frustrated because trading's been a struggle and let's say you took a loss on the day and you stay longer, you're more likely to produce more losses because you are tired and not able to make a good decision. Correct decisions in trading make money, and so only trade when you can make a correct decision. And a big thing that really was frustrating for me in the beginning, and I think plagues all traders when they first started out, is thinking that any strategy is going to produce good trades all the time. No matter what time frame you're trading, all strategies will have ebbs and flows in the number of trades you take, because the market has ebbs and flows. Sometimes the market's really hot and there's a ton of really good trade setups, and you have to just be laser focused and you're taking trades left and right, and it's crazy and it's really exciting. And other times the market is just flat, it's boring for days on end, and it feels like you're never going to make a good trade again, and you feel like you need to take a trade because otherwise you're just sitting there wasting your time. And in reality, you're sitting there waiting for your profitable strategy to show up. Most of the time, anyone trying to trade can make money when the market is good and it fits their strategy. When they're losing money is when the market slows down and they're not able to realize that and shift gears, and they end up over trading, taking bad trades, and losing a lot of money. Don't have a daily trading goal of either number of trades or a certain profit for a day, because you don't know when the market's going to be really good or really bad. You want to just kind of be a blank slate of flexibility and wait for the market to fit your plan. And if it does, you take a trade. And if it doesn't, you just move on with the day. Now, before we move on to day 3, I want to show you my 90-day trader roadmap. This is going to just go more in depth into kind of what your progress should really look like over the next 90 days of trading. These first 3 days are gonna be really accelerated and really massive for your foundation, but I highly recommend getting this 90-day trader roadmap that you will either get via this QR code or the link in the description of this video. It will have way more tools, links to everything we've talked about, and guide you kind of on the direction you want for trading. Now, so day 3, by this point, you have your plan, a strategy, a kind of foundation built of roughly how you want to do things going forwards. This is when you're going to start executing your strategy, but first start doing it on a demo account. I have got emails and messages from people saying they've lost thousands, tens of thousands in some cases, because they're too eager to jump into what they've learned. Getting into trading is super exciting because it's such an interesting space, and the ability to make a lot of money is real. But the ability to lose money right away is way more likely as a beginner. Mistakes in trading lose you money, and you're gonna make a ton of mistakes when you first start out. So be patient, give yourself a little bit of time. You don't need to jump into it right away with real money, and especially a lot of money. Start with a demo account. Just practice trading on a charting system like NinjaTrader, and we'll talk about scaling up in a second. But start following your routine and following your plan that you've laid out. And this is where the biggest thing of breaking that learning loop comes into play. The whole idea here is you need to, for the foreseeable future, is stick to this strategy. Stick to it for 10 to 20 trades and slowly refine it and master it. Don't go and try and find another indicator to add to your strategy or different pattern to use. Those are going to start you over from square one. For me, my strategy, what worked was finding one system and one really simple style that I could master and spend, your 10,000 hours finding and figuring out every little detail about. I don't add or combine new things, constantly trying to make it better when it doesn't work out. That is what's gonna keep you out of the learning loop of jumping to a different strategy, is realizing that just because it's not working, it's not necessarily because of the strategy. Think about why you didn't jump into a trade when your strategy said you should have, or maybe you chased a trade that you actually shouldn't have been in because the strategy didn't say you were supposed to be in. Start journaling and tracking the trades you take, and even some of the trades you miss that your strategy says you should have gotten. It will be very enlightening into what is actually negatively impacting you from successfully executing a trading strategy. And ideally, you can, make little tweaks, take things away, do what makes sense in terms of refining the strategy, but don't do massive changes. That is what's gonna set you back. And when it comes to it, try and become consistently profitable on a demo account for 1 to 2 months, depending on the time frame you're trading. What this will do is it'll help you kind of get through that initial phase of trading. And then what I highly recommend you do is switch over to a brokerage account and put in, let's say, $500. It does not have to be a large amount of money. The idea here is you are now practicing your strategy with real money. It's gonna start to become more real. It's gonna be more nerve-wracking, more greed is gonna come in. A lot of your emotions are gonna come in and start trying to mess you up when real money is involved versus demo trading. And so if you start out with a really small amount, it's gonna make that stress and intensity less for you. And then you can start to, again, continue honing and getting better at trading at slow increments. You don't want to be trying to make a massive jump to trading a $10,000 account. Even if you have that kind of money to trade and test out with trading, it's all about getting 1% better every single day. And then from there, you can either slowly scale up your brokerage account, or if you want to, you can start a funded account challenge, which will allow you to pay some money and pass a couple tests to gain access to, let's say, a $50,000 account. And this is a really nice way to get capital when you don't have it or just don't want to risk it, frankly. But I highly recommend don't do this when you first start out, because there's a lot of fees involved if you are not consistent with trading, and you're essentially paying a lot of fees to demo trade. but you're gonna potentially lose more money just paying the fees of these platforms than just trying with your own real money of, let's say, $500. And so you want to have kind of a rough idea of, you know what you're doing, you've shown a little bit of a track record before you do that. And then you can start to scale up and increase the amount of money you can make trading. Now, in the last 30 days, I only took 10 trades and I actually made $5,000 even with a 50% win rate. Only half of those trades won. But it's because I was following a simple strategy that I've created and honed over years. This strategy has actually made other traders who have tried it successful at trading with the same strategy. And so I highly recommend checking out this video right here. It'll walk you through that whole strategy that I use, and one that you can start to work on yourself over these next 3 days.